Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting to teach you how to make the Casually Cozy Scarf and Hat set by Drops Design. Now this scarf looks very complex, but really it's very simple to make, and the hat is extremely easy. And these are the finished products. For these I use the Lion Brand Mandala Ombre in, I believe the color name is Cold. I've already worn the hat a good bit. It's been chilly around here. And this is the scarf. Again, it looks very complicated, but it's actually very easy. In order to create this, in order to create this scarf and hat, you'll need the following tools. Oh, if I can get into my knitting bag, that would be awesome. Sorry. You will need scissors, obviously, a size, excuse me again, good grief, a size 4.5 millimeter or size 7 needle. Personally, I like using circulars, but you can use this you can make this on straight needles as well. You will also need a size 5 needle. Again, circular or straight for this particular pattern, it doesn't really matter. Now, you will also need stitch markers. Now, don't feel intimidated. You don't have to use this kind. You do want something you can slide in and out easily. I like locking stitch markers, but you can use a paper clip or a safety pin or even a contrasting color of yarn. These are nice. As you can see, they open so you can move them on your work. I bought just all of my supplies for this project from a website called Lind Hobby. It's Lindhobby. They're located, I believe, in Denmark. It's been a while since I had all this stuff shipped. I'll leave this one out because that's the one I'll be starting with. You will also need, obviously, yarn. Now for this project, I'm following the instructions and holding 2 yarns together. So the first one we'll be using is Drops Kid Silk in green. This yarn is so soft and fluffy feeling. I absolutely adore it. And the other one I'll be using, since they discontinued the Delight that's called for in the pattern, so I'm using Drops Fable Long Print. I believe the name of this color is Rosewood, but I'm not positive. On the label, they only have a color number instead of an actual name. So you'll also want to pull up the pattern. Now, the pattern starts with the hat, but since I'm trying to make this easy for beginning knitters, I'm going to be starting with the scarf, because the scarf is all knit stitches. There's no purling involved. The hat has a rib, so you'll be knitting and purling. So with that, let's get started. Okay. We will take our Kid Silk. Let's get the label out of there. And is that the end of the yarn? Yeah, no, it's the outer end. I prefer to work from the center if I can, just because it helps keep the yarn from tangling up a little bit. So let's see if I can find the end in here. There it is. Good. Yes, this is a very fine yarn. It doesn't show up very well on the camera. It's a fuzzy yarn, It is a silk alpaca blend, if I'm remembering correctly, and actually I dropped the label. Oh, no matter, I've got another ball of it in here. All right. Super Kid Mohair and Silk. So that's where we start. This is because of that, this is a hand wash only situation. The Fable is a sock yarn, so it is actually machine washable. But since I'm using the kid silk as well, I wouldn't put this in a machine. And this is the outer end as well. So let's pull that out. And get the center end. Oh, this is going to do this to me. How lovely. Well, that's what happens when you go real time. Doesn't always work great. I should have prepped this in advance. Oh well. That's fine. Let's go ahead and well, there's the end, so this will unravel itself as we go, and it's naturally tangling nicely with my kid silk. Thought I had the end. Oh, it's fine. So we'll just wind this around the outside of the ball. You know, accidents happen, mistakes happen. They are not a big deal. Let's just get this wound up. Oh, goodness. It's all fine. I know, you didn't turn into this video just to watch somebody wind yarn. It's fine. Okay, there we go. So there'll be the end. Now, if you make this yourself, I do recommend using a variated yarn, at least for your mane, because the pattern shows up much better. I've tried making it with a solid yarn, and it didn't turn out I didn't think it turned out very well. Personal opinion there. Everyone's opinions are different. So let me go ahead and get this back in my bag. The yarn bag I have has grommets, so you can pull the yarn through and keep it from tangling. It's a neat little oh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But that's fine. It's all fine. So there is my Fable. And here is my kid silk, which I will also very carefully put in the bag and pull through a separate grommet. Okay. Oh, goodness. Oh, it's being difficult. Everything's difficult today. It's fine. There we go. So, to cast on, first you pull out the needle. Now, I like using a knitted cast on, but if you have a different type you like, you can feel free to use it. I don't recommend a long tail cast on for this because it's a small number of stitches to start with, and a long tail cast on could just be just leave you with more to weave in later, which personally I try to avoid. I'm like most knitters, I do not like weaving in ends. So we put together our 2 yarns, readjust the camera, and create a slip knot. See, nice and easy. Oops. There we go. All right. So you want this side toward the back. Put the needle through and pull. That will be your first stitch. Now, to create the cast on, you just insert your knitting needle like so. Wrap the yarn around. Pull it to the front. And then just take the needle that your stitch is already on, put it through the stitch on your second needle, and pull. Voila, that's 2 stitches. Now we only need 1 more. See why I said a long tail cast on would probably leave you with more ends than you wanted? Yep, because this is a corner to corner style. So you cast on a total of 3 stitches. Voila, see, simple. Yeah, my camera's not the best, so this may be a little fuzzy. Okay, now the stitches are cast on. So we get started with row 1, part 1, part 1 of row 1. Okay, so you knit 1, yarn over, that's 1 stitch knitted. Now you make a yarn over, and all that is, for anybody who's new to knitting, just take the yarn, wrap it around the needle, and that's it, you're done. Now hold that in place. I usually use my thumb, knit the second stitch, let's see here, there we go, do another yarn over, and knit the final stitch on the row. There, easy, right? All right, now you turn your work, which means basically just switch hands for your needles. And for row 2, you just knit across. So insert your needle from front to back, going through like so. Oops. There we go. Knit that stitch, and remember I'm using 2 strands held together. If you use the Lion Brand Mandala yarn, Mandala Ombre that I used for the one I showed you, you'll only use 1 strand, but these are both very fine yarns, so I'm using 2. Now to knit the yarn over, let me explain this real quick. You do the same thing. You want it to leave a small hole, excuse me. So you just wrap around, pull it through, and knit. Again, go through the bottom of the stitch, wrap your yarn around, pull it through, knit the second yarn over, get rid of your silly stitch. There we go. Yarn over, pull, and drop. All right, get that end out of the way. There, and the final stitch. There. So that's row 2 completed. Doesn't look like much now, does it? But it'll get there. It'll get there. Just have faith. The first time I made this pattern, I was stunned. The way it turned out, I was really happy with it. So now, on to row 3. Let me get a little more yarn here. There we go. Now, Row 3 is very similar to row 1. You knit the first stitch. Try this again. Knit the first stitch. You have to make sure you go through both loops, which with this kid silk is a little interesting because it's such a fine yarn. So, stitch, yarn over, knit 3. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, and knit the last stitch. See? Very simple. Now for row 4, it's the exact same thing as row 2. Just turn the work. And knit across, making sure you knit your yarn over so they leave a small hole. In order to avoid holes, you do what's called a twisted knit, but I'll get into that in another pattern. We don't use that here. So you just knit all the way across. And I'm trying to keep this slow so new knitters can keep up with it. Normally I knit much faster than this. But that's row 4. All done. Now, you repeat rows 3 and 4. Oh, sorry, my yarn's being a little stubborn here, but that's fine. There we go. And you repeat rows 3 and 4, as I was saying, until you have a total of 71 stitches. That is 69 regular stitches and 2 yarn overs on your needle. So that's going to take a little time. So let's get to it. We're back to row 3. So it's knit 1, yarn over, knit to the last stitch on the needle, see, there's your last stitch, yarn over, and knit 1. Yeah, I know it's somewhat distracting having my screen in the background, but I do need to be able to see what I'm doing. Sorry. Okay, so knit 1, yarn over, or sorry, not yarn over. Good grief, this is row 4. That is your yarn over. See how you can tell? So just knit across. I'm fumbling so much you wouldn't believe I've been knitting for most of my life. It's crazy today. All right. So we just knit all the way across. Sorry, I'm trying to stay in frame. Just say something if I slip too far out. All right, and final stitch. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now we're back to row 3. So here we will do the yarn over. There we go. So again, knit 1, yarn over, knit across to the last stitch, yarn over, and knit one. All right. Now, knit all the way back across again. It's just a very simple repeat. Just keep knitting. Good grief. Hello, Dory. Just keep knitting, just keep knitting, just keep knitting, knitting, knitting. All right. And turn your work. And back to row 3. So, oh, that end's going to bother me until this is long enough it's no longer poking up. So as you can see, we've created a corner here, which is good. This is the bottom right-hand corner of the scarf. See? Okay, now, back to knitting. Knit one, yarn over, knit across to the last stitch, all right. Yarn over and knit your last stitch. Turn your work. And knit across. See, this is a very easy, basic pattern. That's why I chose it for my first one. In the future, I'm planning on doing more complex patterns, shawls, maybe some sweaters, but we'll see. Of course, the viewers have a lot to do with that as well. You know, let me know what you'd be interested in learning, and I'll be happy to see what I can find. I'm using Garn Studio patterns because they're very well written. They're also free patterns that anyone can access, and it's easy to transition what kind of yarn you use. Like I said, personally, I've made this a few times with Lion Brands and Mandala Ombre, just because I like the way that comes out. I've tried it with the regular mandala, which doesn't have the color transitions or flex in it, and I just don't think it comes out looking as good. So, now, back to row 3. So, knit 1, yarn over, knit all the way across, there we go, yarn over, and knit 1, there. Now we're back to row 4. So turn your work. Knit all the way across the row. Remember, row 4, there are no yarn overs. It's just knitting across. Very easy, very simple. This is a very repetitive piece, I know. But sometimes something very repetitive is a good thing. And again, I'm trying to keep this channel accessible for beginners as well as more advanced knitters. So I look at it more as a knitting group, if that makes sense. And there we go. All right. So basically we're making the first triangle for the scarf, which is the foundation, excuse me, for the rest of the color blocks that come after that. All right, we're back to row 3. So knit 1, yarn over, knit across, okay. There's our last stitch, so we do our yarn over and knit. And we're already up to, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 stitches. So it's still a good bit to go for 71, but we'll get there. So we're on to row 4 again. Turn your work. And let's see. Knit 1, yarn over. Oh, 4, not 3, so no yarn over. See, just drop it off. It's fine. Nobody has to know, right? Right. So go all the way across row 4. Just knit all the way across. All right. And done. Okay. So now we're back to row 3 again. And once again, knit 1, yarn over, knit across the last stitch, just keep knitting along. To our last stitch again, yarn over, and knit one there. Okay, back to row 4. Now sometimes they'll be a little sticky to start, that's fine, just tug on it a little bit to make sure everything's laying nice and even. And see, there it goes. Like I said, this is all knit stitches, so this project is actually very easy for a beginner. It's just knits and yarn overs. It's just knits and yarn overs. It's really nothing difficult. I have to say the green is showing up a lot more than I thought it would when I picked these 2 yarns. But that's fine. I have a feeling that the color shifts are going to be very subtle in this one. If they even show up at all reasonably, we'll find out. Yeah, one nice thing about Drops Design is, as I said in the beginning, they actually discontinued the yarn that this pattern calls for, but they do have a converter on the site that you can use to find another of their yarns that'll work. I stumbled across the mandala by a happy accident personally. I just liked the yarn and decided I wanted to make something with it, so I did. And that yarn works up nice and squishy and soft. It's absolutely brilliant. All right. So there we go there. Now we're back to row 3. Okay, knit 1, yarn over, knit across the row, ooh, almost done. Yarn over and knit the last stitch. Which brings us back to row 4 again. All right. So we knit 1, yarn over. Nope, row 4, not row 3. No yarn over. See, my brain is not with me today. The coffee is not working. So now just knit across. And just keep knitting it. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I'm late to change because it's raining now. Terrific. So we just keep knitting across the row. Yep. Days like this are good for curling up with a cup of tea or some coffee. Put in a podcast and work on your knitting. It's a lot of fun. At the end of it, you have something you can give to someone or wear yourself. That stitch was being difficult. There's my yarn over and the last stitch there. Now we're back to part 3. So knit 1, yarn over, and knit across to the last stitch. All right. Just keep knitting across the row. Just keep going. Last stitch, yarn over, and knit 1. All right, back to row 4. So just try this again. Knit 1. There we go. And there's our yarn over. So we just knit that. And keep going across the row. There now. Just keep going. And there we go. And you just keep knitting across the row. All right. That's the end of that. So turn. And see, the corner's getting bigger. And you can kind of see the colors variance. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how it turns out when it's done. Okay. Now back to row 3. So we knit 1, yarn over, and knit across the row to the last stitch. Oh, both yarns weren't together, so there we go. Okay. There we go. There's our last stitch. So we just yarn over and knit the last stitch. Perfect. All right, let's see how many stitches we're up to now. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. Not bad, we're about a third of the way there. Okay, so we'll do a couple more rows and that'll probably end this stream for today. So let's go ahead and do one more. We'll do one more row. We'll do row 4. So just knit across. And if anybody has questions about this pattern or the project itself, feel happy to post in the comments and I will answer them either by typing back or in my next video. And there we go. Just keep knitting across the row. See, there we go. Almost there. And there we are. Yeah, the color variations is very subtle, but it is there. So that makes me happy to see. But you're definitely seeing more of the green than the pinks and browns of the other yarn. All right. And as I said, that'll be our last row for today. So when I come back, we will start with row 3 again and get through part 1. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this pattern. Thank you very much, and have a good day.